Sandra, thank you. James Carafano joins us now. He's the Vice President of Foreign Policy at the Heritage Foundation. Let's start with the overall picture here, because if you take a look at the map and you've been following it, things haven't changed a whole lot, because the Russians are still stuck outside of Kyiv here. They have not managed to surround Kharkiv. You can see that there's an area here that's wide open. They haven't even surrounded Sumy, and they were pounding the heck out of that. Mariupol, they pretty much got surrounded, and they're laying waste to that city, but they can't make it past Mykolaiv here. The local defense is keeping them at bay. So now the idea of Russia and Ukraine fighting to a stalemate has come up. And I'm wondering what happens if we get into that scenario where Russia won't leave and Ukraine won't give up.
Right. So we ought to make a distinction between a tactical and a strategic stalemate. So they could well stalemate at the strategic level, which means the Russians do not achieve the big strategic objectives they want. But there could still be a lot of push back and forth at the tactical level, like we saw in World War I in the trenches, right, where people are fighting over inches and feet and access and roads. So that could continue to happen. That raises an interesting question. Look, what we've learned is as long as the West continues to funnel resources to Ukraine, the Ukrainians can fight the Russians and the Russians can't win. The converse is there's no way the Ukrainians could fight and take all that territory back on their own. They would have to have an additional massive influx of resources and capabilities. Would the West do that? Probably not. Will the West sustain the defense of Ukraine? I suspect they will. Will they give the Ukrainians the kind of resources they could to take back their whole country? I suspect that they won't.
Which is why I've floated the last couple of days. Could this potentially, something like that, be the new eastern border of Ukraine? Russia hangs onto the territory that it's got its military.
Well, see, this raises the interesting question of what next? Because, you know, we all think of wars as they start on page 1 of the chapter, they end on the last page of the chapter, and that's not the way it is. There's a continuity there. So very often the seeds of the next conflict are laid in how the last conflict ended. So if the conflict just ends with a cessation of firing, right, and Ukraine hasn't solved its fundamental problem, which is demonstrating the capacity to defend Ukrainian soil sufficient to deter Russian invasion, then, dude, Russia, when Putin gets this all fixed up, who's to say he just won't come back for another bite at the apple?
Yeah, you got to wonder. He replenishes his troops here from Russia, and then they start moving westward that way. You know, that's a potential scenario for the future. I want to ask you about this because this is very interesting, and Mike Tobin was talking about this. There are little pockets here where the Ukrainian military has begun to take back ground, in particular Makariv, which is just west of Kyiv. This is significant because this is along a major highway that connects directly with the Polish border.
Yeah, that's really perceptive because these are not little counterattacks that are just replacing blue for red. These are very strategic counterattacks that are designed, again, to keep the Russians from gaining their strategic objectives. So these are counterattacks with a
real purpose.
They're tactical attacks, but they're tactical attacks that have strategic impact.
Yeah. All right. Then there's something else that's popped up in the last couple of days, and we wonder where it's going to go from here as a result of this. So in this area, Konstantinivka, there was a hypersonic missile attack, and here in Delatine, which is south of Ivano-Frankivsk, as well. Why would Russia be using hypersonic weapons?
I told you not to ask me that. I have no idea. So these are incredibly expensive cutting-edge weapons.
And they were fired from Russia as well.
Right, which are designed to penetrate high-density air defense envelopes, which are impossible to get through any other way, and to go out and hit the most strategic and important vital targets. What am I missing here? Because this is not a high defense umbrella. These are not strategic targets that are going to change the course of the war. What is going on? Why are they doing this? Are they trying to cow and impress the Ukrainians in the West? Because if they are, that's obviously not working. So it's a puzzler.
I'm wondering if they're just saying, this is what we got, because here is a picture. This is the Dagger hypersonic weapon that is attached to a MiG-31. And I should point out, too, that there are at least 6 of those that are in this area right here. That's Kaliningrad, which is Russian territory. And if you were to arm those with a nuclear weapon, and they can carry a payload of about 500 kilotons, it's got a range of 1,200 miles. So it could hit literally anything within that circle. Is this Putin saying, I got this big thing here. You don't want to mess with me.
Yeah, but we knew that. We didn't need him to fire one of these things. We know that he has weapons, and we know that they're operational. So I don't think that's really a game changer there. The other thing is Look, dude, you just wasted a very expensive, you could have done with a dumb bomb or a cruise missile. So unless you're out of cruise missiles and dumb bombs, we're just sitting here scratching our head. Look, here's the problem, which is the history is coming back to greet us again. The rules in the old Cold War is heavily armed nuclear powers don't go to war with each other because it's very difficult to understand how you can control that escalating that. And the answer is you don't do that. And when we saw young nuclear powers like Pakistan and India try this, what happened? They very quickly learned this doesn't work very well, and even they stopped doing this. So I'm not sure the Russians have forgotten the lessons of you can't go because how do you know you won't escalate?
Let's hope they don't, because that would be a real game changer. James Carafano, always great to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having me.
it. Sandra?